Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner for DeKalb County Library, and I'm coming to you to do a video for a special day. Forget what it was. It's coming up pretty soon in the next week or so. Oh my gosh, what was it? Senior moment. I can't. Oh, I know. It's Valentine's Day. So I thought we would make something for that. And I have these really, really pretty, just kind of random beads from old pieces that we're going to upcycle. So I can't show you what it's going to look like until at the end because I only have a few of these. So I thought what we could do is take these random beads and do some wire wrapping for links. And then we're also going to link them together with little hearts. Let me see. We're going to make little heart links. They've got a little spiral on them because you know how I feel about spirals. So they have spirals that we're going to use to link them. And there they are. You can see that. There we go. It's kind of hard to see it against air without a canvas. There. Those are going to be our heart links for our necklace. I thought that would be nice. I've seen videos where people have done all kinds of really cute, like little bracelets with hearts on them. And I thought they would make nice links. So we're going to kind of do two things. We're going to be wrapping some beads like this. I just did a bunch of random kind of wraps. And we're going to use those to link. We're going to link those together. And there's another one. Here's one. It's just a nice little wrap on the top. Okay. So anyway, I thought we would do some wraps. I'll show you a couple of wraps. I'll show you how to do the hearts. And then we're actually going to use that same heart design to make a clasp because, again, I love doing clasps that are a little bit different. So we're going to make a hook clasp out of the heart. So we've got lots to do. So much fun. So for this, you're going to either need 20 gauge wire, 22 gauge wire, that's up to you. We're going to be making these hearts strong enough so that the linking should be fine. I would probably suggest using 20 gauge wire for the clasp just to make it stronger. And we're also going to use jump rings and whatever little beads you want to use. I'm using these 6x8 rondelles, but you don't have to use them beads that are that big. It's entirely up to you what size you want to use, but that's the size that I'm using for our little heart links. We also need our usual pliers, round nose, flat nose, round, flat. I'm also using some that are coated so I won't damage my wire, and cutters. All the standards. You'll also need a ruler so that you can measure everything out, and you'll need a pen or a pencil or some small cylindrical item that you can use to shape your heart, unless you're really adept at doing that with your fingers. Or you can use a pen or a pencil, or you can use the barrel of your pliers, which I think I'm going to use today because I want to show you an easy way to do it. But if you would rather use a pen or a pencil, you can do that as well. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get going. And let's make a pretty necklace. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to need is for my link, making just a small link here. My little, oh, there we go. Just making my little heart link is, let's see that, there we go. About 5.5 inches of wire. That's what I'm using. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can determine how big you want your hearts to be based on how long you want your necklace to be. It's entirely up to you, but that's what I'm using. I'm using 5.5 inches and making a fairly small link. It's about, let's see, when it's all finished, it's a little under an inch, just over 7/8 of an inch long. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. All right, so the first thing that you're going to do is take your wire and bring the ends together like so, and then cross them over and pull until you have a loop at the bottom. And I want my ends to be about the same length. So just keep an eye on that and pull it until I have a nice little loop at the bottom. And then I'm going to just kind of start the curve up for the heart. So here's my little loop around the bottom. And then I'm going to start my curve with my fingers. And you don't have to do this part, but you can. And then I'm going to take my pliers. So there's the beginning of it. I'm going to take my pliers right down there just above the loop. I'm going to grab the wire at the very back of my pliers because I want a kind of a decent sized opening that my bead will go into. Okay, so I'm going to bring one end, one tail across my pliers, across and over my pliers, and down to the other side. And then I'm going to do the same with the other side. I'm going to flip it around. Again, I'm going to grab my wire right there above the loop. And bring the tail around and over. To the other side. So there's my, there are my two ends. And then I'm going to separate them. Oops, this way. I'm going to separate them so that I have the beginnings of a little heart. See that? There. Now, I want to bring one of my tails through the top of my heart. So I'm going to take, I like to take the longest one for this part. So I'm going to bring, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it with the pliers so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use these flat pliers over here. And I'm just going to hold it right there at the top where it crosses over. You can hold it with your fingers, you can hold it with your pliers, whichever way is easiest for you. And they're right there where they meet. And I like to curve it because I think it makes it easier to slide it through, because I'm going to bring this tail back through the opening up here. So I'm going to curve that around, and I'm going to pull it through the opening at the top. And I kind of use a push-pull motion. Pull it a little bit and push it a little bit to work it through the top. And you can also use your pliers to help you with that. Now some of the coating is coming off of my pliers here. Just push that through. There. It's in there. Let me bring that up. Straighten that out a little bit. You just have to be very patient with yourself to get that up there. Here's my little heart. And now I just need to make adjustments. So what I'm going to do is take this and squeeze it until I have a nice straight extension from the top of my bead. There's that. Straighten out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight because we're going to be making a coil, so you don't have to worry about that. So there's the top. And I want to cut it off down to about an inch. And then again, this is subjective. It depends on how big you want your spiral to be. I'm going to give myself an inch worth of wire to spiral. Just going to cut that off. Then I'm going to take my round pliers. And now this poked through from the back, or I'm calling it the back, to the front. And now on the side that the tail is extending from, I'm going to make my spiral go back in the other direction. So it goes through here, out here, and spirals back in the other direction. So I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, make a little loop. Then I'm going to take my flat pliers and spiral it. And all I'm doing is wrapping the wire around itself. And it's a nice little loose little spiral so that you can get this effect. Making a nice little loose spiral. Or I guess I should call it an open spiral. And there we have it. So there's my spiral. There's my little heart. And the top is complete. So now we're going to go down to the other side, the bottom. We're going to put our bead on. So I'm going to just slide my bead on there over the tail. And see how it fits right inside my little opening here. Isn't that cute? And now I'm going to feed the tail, the end of this, through the little loop here at the bottom. So there's my little loop. I'm going to guide that the end of my wire. And again, I like to curve it around. I think it makes it easier. I don't have a lot of heavy bending to do. And I fed it right there through my little loop. See if I can get this. See that? So I fed it right there through the little loop at the bottom, if you can see. And now I'm going to push it all the way through. And I like a push-pull motion, and I'm holding on to my heart so that it doesn't get pulled out of shape. And just be patient. Push it as far as you can, then pull it, and then push it, and then pull it. I can adjust it so that both of my sides are the same. Or you can do it asymmetrical. It's entirely up to you how you want your little heart to be. Okay, I think we're good here. Push that through. And there's my little heart. And now I can just make some adjustments to the way I want it to look. And there we are. There's my little heart. Ta-da! Is that showing up? Let's see here. Here's my little heart. There's my spiral. And now we're going to do a spiral on the bottom. So I've taken the end of the wire has gone through this side and out this side. So my spiral is going to go back the other direction, just like I did on top. All right, so I'm going to measure off about 1 inch. Well, that's not bad. I just need to cut a little tiny bit off, which makes me very happy because I hate wasting wire. Don't like it. Just a little teeny tiny 1/8 of an inch more. Okay. So now I can make my spiral. Take my pliers, grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, make a loop. And again, I like to put my finger down there because it gives me some leverage. If I try to do it up here without anything to hold on to, sometimes that doesn't work so well. So I'm going to make my little loop and then take my flat pliers and create my spiral. and I'm wrapping the wire around itself. So not on top of each other, but to the side. And it's a nice open spiral, not really tight, because we're going to need to put a jump ring through there. And there's my spiral. There we go. There's my little heart connector. You see that? I'm going to make this side a little bit bigger. Just a tad. There we go. And there's my little connector. Okay, so there's my heart. And there's my little spiral on the side. And that's part of it. So that is what I'm going to use to connect my necklace. Make as many of those as you want or need, and then go from there. The next part of it is we're just going to do our wraps. So I need to be able to link these together like so, right? That needs to be attached to here. Like that. Yeah. So now I need to wrap my beads. So what I'm going to do, and these are kind of random wraps. It's not going to be anything specific. I'm going to show you how to do just a basic wrap. Then we'll do something that's a little more decorative. And what I like to do is give myself plenty of wire for that. And I'm using 20 gauge. Okay, so I'm going to give myself about a foot of wire, just so I have enough to play with. I don't know where I thought I was going before I cut that. Okay. Let's start with this one. I'm going to feed my wire through my bead. And I'm just going to go halfway down, halfway through. So I have about the same distance of wire on each side. And I'm going to give myself a little wrap. So I'm going to bend one back one way and one back the other way so that my bead won't fall off. There we go. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers. And I'm going to slide them down to, it depends on how big a loop you want. It doesn't have to be huge. All it needs to support is a jump ring. So it doesn't have to be all that big. So I'm going to go about a third of the way down my pliers. And take the tail of my wire. Was I off camera? I'm going to take the tail of my wire over my pliers and down to the other side of the bead. So that now I have about a half circle. So there we go. And then I'm going to bring that tail back under the pliers. And what you want to do is turn your pliers so it's horizontal to the bead. And my wire is straight out in between the pliers and the bead. And I'm going to wrap around the stem. And how you wrap this is, again, up to you. You can make it nice and neat. You can make it nice and messy. It's really, this is your baby. I'm just going to give it 3 wraps. Now I have a wrapped bead that I can use to link. I'm going to use this to play with later. So then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just go 1/3 of the way down my pliers. My wire is bent back like so. Bring the tail of my wire, get out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Bring the tail of my wire over the pliers and down to the other side. Then I'm going to flip my pliers over until they're horizontal to my bead. And then bring the wire between the bead and the pliers so that I have a loop. And I'm going to wrap that tail between my bead and my pliers. So wrap it once, twice, and 3 times like I did the other one. And there we are. Nice. So now what? I have all this wire left that I can do anything I want with. So what I think I'm going to do, first of all, I want to look at this. I want to make sure that both of my rings are facing the same direction towards the back and the front of the bead. And if they're not, all you have to do is grab your pliers. You can either grab your pliers, 2 pairs of pliers, and put one on each end, or you can grab it with one with your fingers on one side and the pliers on the other, and give it a little twist. And now both of my rings are facing the same direction. Neat, huh? Okay, so what I'm going to do is take one of my wires and I'm going to take it up. I'm just going to shape it a little bit. Let's just make a loop. I'm going to make a loop or something. Or maybe I'll just make a little squiggle. So I think I will. I'm just going to give it a little curvature. And I'm going to bring it up and let it meet the other wire. Hello. Hello, other wire. So now I have a little design on here. And I'm going to let the wires meet. And then I'm going to twist them. I'm going to twist them together. And you might want to use your pliers for that so that you can get a good tight twist at the top. Let me give it a little twist. Yay. And then I'm just going to keep twisting and twisting. I hadn't intended to do this with this one, but why not? So I'm going to twist and twist and twist and twist. Keep twisting. And there, neat. So now I'm going to take that and I'm just going to shape it. I'm just going to give it a little curve like I did the other one. Let's give it a little curvature. Let's give it a little more. Just because I can. And voila. So now I'm going to wrap that around the top of my bead one time. And I'm going to wrap this one around my bead one time. And now I have a little scarf on top. I'm going to take my pliers and just kind of flatten that a little bit so it's not quite so bulky. And there we go. So now what do I want to do with the rest of this? Do I want to do anything or just cut it off? It's entirely up to you, up to me, up to whoever. And I think I'm just going to give it a little loop. So I'm just going to take my pliers, grab the tip of my wire, get a little loop. And what you can do when you're doing this, when you're playing around with design like this, if I don't like it, I could just cut it off. But I hate wasting wire, so I'm going to play with it and see if I like what I come up with. If I don't, I'll cut it off. So I've got a little loop at the top here. Just a little loop. You know, I'm going to turn this light off because I think it's very glary. Okay, that's better. So now I've got a little loop at the top, and I'm going to do the same with this one. And it's going to give me a slightly bigger loop. So there's more of it. And again, if I don't like it, I'll cut it off and leave it the way it is because I can. So I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers again, make a small loop. And make a little spiral. So I'm going to grab my flat pliers and spiral. And I'm going to make this one a little tighter because I don't want it to cover up the entire bead because I like my bead. So I don't want it to be all wire all the time. Where do I want to put it? I think I'm going to put it on this side. Okay, so my little spiral. And there we go. And I'm going to push that down a little bit. So it's a little closer to the bead. And there is my little organic wrap. Yay! Kind of neat. I like it. What do you think about that? I need to make sure these are turning the same way. Twist. There we go. And there's my bead. That's kind of awesome. Okay, there's one. This one, yeah, let's go ahead and give myself a foot of wire again, or maybe not so much wire. I might make just a nice little wrap at the top for this one and not stretch it out so much. And I don't want to waste my wire. So 10 inches, 10 inches sounds good. Maybe just put a little spiral at the top of each one or something. Again, I'm going to feed my wire through my bead. Get in there. Okay. Spin these so that the bead won't fall off. And let's make my first loop. About a third of the way down my pliers again. Wrap over the top of my pliers. Then I have a half loop. I'll turn this light back on. Or, yeah, let's move this. How's that? That might be better. Okay. So I have a little half loop here. Turn my pliers until they're horizontal to the bead. And bring my wire around until it's between my pliers and my bead. So now I have a nice loop. And I'm going to wrap right between my bead and my pliers. I'm just going to wrap that tail around once and twice and 3 times. And what I'm going to do is make a little cap on top. So I'm going to just nice little cap on the top of my bead. See that? Get this thing to focus. So I have a little cap on the top. And there's my first one. Now I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Grab the wire about a third of the way down my pliers, just at the top of my bead. Bring the tail over the top of my pliers and down to the other side of the bead, like so. Turn my pliers until they're horizontal to the bead. Bring my wire up and in between the bead and the pliers, and I'm going to wrap. And I'm going to take this out so that you can see. I showed you how to wrap it while you're holding the pliers with inside the loop. Now I'm going to show you how to wrap it when you're holding it on the side. So I'm holding it on the side. Still going to wrap it the exact same way. It's just your preference on how you prefer, you would rather wrap. Holding it on the side or holding it inside the loop. I'm wrapping it once and twice and one more time, making that little cap on the top. And there we go. Nope, that cap didn't come out quite as neat and tidy as the other one. So I'm going to just adjust it a little bit with my pliers. There. There we go. Nice little cap. And now here I am with wire. What do I want to do with it? I could cut it off and be finished. Or I can make a little design. I can't resist. I can't resist making a little design. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to keep it simple. I think what I'm going to do is wrap this one more time to give myself more of a cap on top of my bead. So now I have a really nice big cap on there. Same thing on the other side. Nice big cap. There we go. And now I'm going to spiral, because that's one of my favorite things to do. So for this one, we made a nice little delicate curve. For this one, I'm going to make a nice little spiral. Yeah. So I'm going to take the tip of my pliers, grab the tip of my wire, and I'm going to make a loop. Okay, we got a loop there. Now I'm just going to spiral it. And I'm going to make a tight spiral this time. Oh, look at that. My little coating's coming off. I'm going to make a nice tight spiral so that I can just rest it at the top of my bead. Just give it a little something interesting to look at. And I'm just wrapping the wire around itself, as you can see. Flip that to the side here so that it's nice and snug. And there is my spiral right on the top of my bead. Ta-da! Yeah. Oh, darn. I was trying not to say ta-da. I can't get away from it. Okay. And now I'm going to make another spiral on this side. Yes. Yes, let's do it. Okay. Now I could just leave one. I don't need to, but I think I'm going to make another one just because I like them a lot. So grabbing the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, make a loop. Grab my flat pliers and spiral. Nice tight spiral. Let's scoop this out a little bit because it's on the top of my wire and I need it to be on the side. And again, we're just wrapping the wire around itself to create our spiral. Close that up a little. I'm doing a tight one because I don't want it to be too big, too spaced out. In fact, I could put one on one side, one on the other side. I could. I think I'm going to keep them both on the same side. Okay, so there's my other spiral. Push it up a little bit toward the top a little more. There we go. So I have two spirals. A slightly small one on the bottom and a larger one, or on one side and a larger one on the other side. Now, notice how my rings are facing to the sides of my bead. I need them to be facing, or the rings are facing, the openings are facing to the front and back. I need the wrap to face the front and back. So what I want to do, I showed you how to do it with one set of pliers. Now I'm going to show you how to do it with two sets of pliers. Grab my loops and twist until I have them facing the front and the back. Or you can do it with your fingers, like I just did. There. Now I have to adjust my little spiral again because it shifted. Get back down there. There we go. And there's my little wrapped bead. Neat. Okay, so 2 different types of wrap that you can use to create your links and your little heart link. Cool beans. Okay, so now all we need to do is link them together. I've got some more here. And what I'm going to do is put 2 links, 2 heart links in between each of my beads, like that. So here's what I've got. 2 links again. Well, here's how mine's going to go. Next, let's put this one here. Put this red one at the bottom, like that. I'm going to have 2 links here. It's going to kind of dangle down. And 2 hearts. I haven't decided whether or not I want my hearts to go in opposite directions. I just don't know yet. We'll see. Right now it's playtime. The designing part is the fun part. Deciding how you want your things to lay out. I'm going to put one of my clear ones and see my little links. Good. Links. Good. Neat, huh? I like it. I'm finishing it off. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my little necklace. So now all I need to do is put them together with jump rings and then make my clasp. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's grab some jump rings. I'm using 6mm jump rings. You can make your own jump rings, as a matter of fact. You don't have to use store-bought jump rings, but that's what I'm doing today. So all I'm going to do is open up my jump rings. Now, the proper way to open a jump ring is to open it from side to side. You don't want to pull it apart because you want to make sure that you don't distort your ring. So one of the ways that you can open it is to grab your ring on one side with a pair of pliers. There's where the split is. And I can just push down with my thumb to create an opening. Another way to do it is to take my pliers. There's my opening. Pliers on one side, another set of pliers on the other side. I'll use these. And twist. And there's my opening. Another way to do it is to use your fingers. 2 fingers on one side of the opening, 2 fingers on the other side of the opening, and twist. Either way you do it is perfect because that way you are not distorting your circle. And when you want to close it back up, all you have to do is take your fingers and squeeze it together and then make some adjustments to make sure it's completely closed. Or you can take your pliers, your pliers and squeeze it together. So there's my opening, take my pliers, squeeze, and I have a perfectly closed jump ring. Perfectly closed. Make whatever little adjustments that you have to make, but you have not distorted your loop. And that's the most important thing. I'm going to open these up, open a bunch of these up. And let's put our links together. I should keep a nice running, a nice chatter going while I'm opening up my jump rings so you don't get bored. Or the smart thing to do would have been to have a bunch of these already open so that you wouldn't have to sit here and watch me opening jump rings, which is about the equivalent of watching paint dry. Woo. Okay, so there we have some jump rings all nicely open. And all I need to do is grab one of my hearts, slide the jump ring in right there at the bottom of my heart. And remember, I told you you want to make it a nice open spiral. Good grief, come on. I'm trying to do this with the pliers so that you can see what I'm doing. Probably be better for me to just do it with my fingers, but then you wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. So one jump ring on through the spiral, grab one of my beads, slide that on through the jump ring as well, and close the jump ring. There we go. So there's one link. Let's go to the next one. And I'm debating on whether or not I want to put two up here. It just depends on how long I want this to be. Now, the other question is, do I want all of my hearts to be going up my neck in the same direction, or do I want to turn them facing each other like that? What do I want to do? That's cute. Or should I turn it so that they're facing away from each other? I mean, it's just endless. I'm going to go the easy route and have them all facing the same direction just because. No other reason than just because. Okay, so got my open jump ring. This time I'm using my fingers. I'm going to slide it in the bottom ring of my spiral, add my bead, and close it up. Well, this is one advocate to use the pliers the whole time, because otherwise I have to, oh, no, using the pliers, easier. Well, this is just humiliating. Okay. Take my ring. Which way are we going here? Oh, there we go. It's going up. Slide it in my, let me get over here on camera. Gee. Okay, and my bead. And close. Okay. Put that away. And then use this one without the coating. Okay, go into the bottom of my spiral again, and then go to this top spiral for this one because I want them to be going the same direction, and close it up. Okay, and let's just keep on going into the spiral, into the bead, close my loop, and the bead in the spiral again. Close my loop. This one is a spiral and a spiral. Come on. Stop doing that. And oh, this spiral's tight. Let's open it up a little bit so that I can get a jump ring in there. And spiral, the other spiral, and close it. Nice and tight. And I like to take my fingernail and see if I can slide it in between the opening. If I can't, then it's good. And you can also double up on your jump rings if you're afraid that one jump ring might not be enough. That's what I usually do. Just because I'm anal like that. Okay, and another tight spiral. Let's open that up a little bit. Just separating the wires a little bit so I can slide my jump ring in. Okay, slide it on one side of my dangle bead. And close. So there's one side of my necklace, all complete. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put the rest of this together off camera so that you don't have to suffer through me doing this. I have to open up some more jump rings too. Okay, there we go. Slide it in the spiral, close it up. Another one. I did say I was going to do this off camera, didn't I? But I'm on a roll. Okay, we're going up. Close. And next one, spiral. Bead. Close. So pretty. Nice. And spiral and the bead. Close. Okay. Need to open up some more jump rings. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera like I promised you before so that you don't have to sit through it, and I'll be back in a hop, skip, and a jump. All right, here's our necklace. Isn't it lovely? It looks very Valentine's-y. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make your clasp. It's going to be the exact same way we did our links, except that we're going to put a hook on the end and a wrap on the bottom. So what we need for that is 6 inches, and I'm using 20 gauge wire. I think it's better to use a stronger wire for your clasp. And what we're going to do is the same thing we did with the other one. We're going to fold it until the ends meet. Let's get up here. Fold it until the ends meet, and then pull the ends opposite each other until I have a nice loop at the bottom, just like we did with our links. Okay, so there's my little loop at the bottom. Or actually, that's going to be the top. But there's our little loop, and I'm going to kind of shape it with my fingers again. Grab my pliers, slide it down to the hilt of my pliers, the wire. Slide the wire down to the hilt of my pliers, just above my loop. I'm going to bring the tail over the top of my pliers. And then up, you know what I did? I hit that little squared off part there. And I don't want that squared off, so I need to fix that. Be careful about that. Okay, let's round that back out. There we go. And the same with the other side. Just bring it over, get around. Here we go. And then pull the loops apart till they're opposite each other. Get in there and grab them, and then pull till I have my 2 loops of my heart. There we go. So there's my heart. Okay, now I'm going to bring one end up through the center of my heart. Hold it with my pliers here, right there at the crease. Just kind of work it around until I can feed it through the top of my heart. Can you see that? Let me see here. There we go. I think that's better. And I like to push it through and pull it through, especially with the, if you're using a thicker gauge, you want to do both, push and pull, so that you don't distort your heart. And hold on to your heart shape. Okay, till I get to the point where I can just pull it through the rest of the way. Push that in there, get that through there. There's my heart. Patience is required. Come on, come on, come on. You know you want to go through. And there we go. And just want that straight up, pushing straight up. Straighten out the wire a little bit. Here we go. And there. Let's go get my bead on. Get my bead in there. Slide my bead. And there. Curve my wire. Push it through. And I really don't need this much wire. So you can cut it down to about 1.25 inches if you want to, if you don't want to have to deal with this long tail of wire. Again, pushing and pulling, all the while holding on to my heart so that it doesn't get distorted. Just push that through. Straighten out my wire. Okay. So now I'm going to wrap this. So what I'm going to do is grab my round nose pliers, go about 1/3 of the way down my pliers on the wire. So I'm going to have the pliers right there at the bottom where the loop is, just under the loop. And I'm going to make a wrap around my pliers. So I have about a 1/2 loop here. And I'm going to bring it all the way back and around between the bottom of my heart and my pliers until I have a loop. And I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to use it. Hold this on the side so you can see a little better, I think. And I'm just going to wrap this around between my pliers and the bottom of my heart. You only need to do it 2 times, no less than 1.5, but I would suggest 2, just so that it's nice and sturdy. And squeeze my little rings together so that they're nice and neat. And clip it off. Clip off that tail. Hold on to your tail so that it doesn't fly. Clip that off. And push down the end of your wire so that it doesn't snag on anything while you're trying to wear it. You don't want to snag your clothes or your skin. Just push that down so it's underneath. There we go. Okay, and now we want to make our hook. And for that, we need about 1.25 inches of wire. That's it. It's about 1.25 inches. And it depends. It depends on how big you want your hook to be. It doesn't have to be very long. As you can see, it doesn't have to be that long. But if you find yourself wanting a bigger loop, then just use more than 1.25 inches. Very simple. All right. Cut that tail off. Now look at that. I used 6 inches of wire, and really all I needed was 5. Hate wasting. What you gonna do? Okay. Now the tail of my wire poked through, I'm calling this the front, from the front to the back. And now the loop for my hook is going to go towards the front. So I want my loop to go to the back. I'm going to put a little curve so that you can see what I mean. This is the way that the hook's going to go. My loop is going to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers again, make a small loop. There's my little loop. And then put the, I'm going to use this barrel here, slide my wire down to the barrel of my pliers again, right underneath my loop. The opening is hanging this down this way, and I'm going to bring my my heart over the top until it touches the top of my loop. So just bring that over, let it touch the top. And I have, let's pull that back a little bit. I have a hook. So there's my hook. There's my clasp. And let's attach it. And depending on whether you're right-handed or left-handed, that's going to determine which way you fasten your clasp. But all I need is a jump ring. I attach it to one side. Attach my loop. Close it up. Put another jump ring on the other side. Right in my spiral. Use my pliers, it's easier to see. Oh, and see, this is a little tight, so I'm going to pull the rings apart so I have space to get my jump ring in. Now I can slide my jump ring on, close it up, attach my hook. Oops, get on there. There we go. And we have a necklace. Ah, so pretty. How do you like them apples? Okay, I'm gonna put it on the dress form so that you can see it. Oh, perfect for Valentine's Day. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And look at that. You can't even tell the difference between the chain and the hook because it looks like it's part of your little chain, one of your little links. I love it. Okay, so let's put it on the dress form, or not dress form, but the display so that you can see it. There it is. There's our necklace. Oh, so pretty. And very Valentine's-y, if there's such a word. But there it is. We have a nice, lovely necklace, and I think one of the things I like most about this is that the beads are all random, and the only thing that's really consistent are the hearts. The heart links that are making the chain of the necklace are the only consistency. Everything else is randomly wrapped. Let's turn that around. And the beads are random, and I just love that. I like doing things that are a little bit more organic and artistic, and probably wouldn't make sense on paper, but turn into something really unique and beautiful when you're finished. So there we have it. That's Valentine's Day. We have a lovely necklace that we've made, and I hope you enjoyed this. It's interesting because to put these little hearts together, I've been looking for different ways to make the links, and I found like 3 different videos and just kind of merged all of the different instructions together and came up with this particular heart. It's not the simplest one that you can make. I've seen others out there, but this, I wanted something that was really, really sturdy, and I had a certain way that I wanted to do it, and I was able to kind of cobble together some different instructions to make what I think is the perfect heart. So give yourself a few tryouts to put it together. Another thing is you do not really have to have a bead in the center if you don't want to, but it looks prettier because I like that piece of wire through the center just to give it some stability. And if you have something that you have on there, it kind of detracts from the fact that you have a piece of wire up the middle of your heart. Now you could take that piece of wire and maybe squiggle it like this, just to give it some decoration. If you didn't want to put the bead up the center, again, artistic preference. But this is our piece for today. I hope you'll make one or something similar and let me see your design and your what you've done, because that makes me very happy. And we would love to see how you take the instructions and make it your own. So have fun with this. We'll see you next week. And I hope that you enjoy your weekend and your week. And we will see you next time. Until then, bye-bye.